I remember sitting back and thinking one time before I retired how very, very fortunate we were with the families that were a part of the forum. They were all such good people, had such wonderful values, cared a great deal for their families, cared a great deal for one another. That was just a blessing here. That was a high point to me, is to think about the people that I'd been able to work with and hopefully help in some way.
The forum was a huge help to us in handling our succession from my generation. I was the founder and the owner and the 100% owner with my wife. And now my son and my son-in-law are established as the two presidents. One is the CEO and one is the COO. That was a helpful piece of guidance from the forum.
How do we make that move? And then just understanding what other people are having problems with. What are their challenges? And kind of going, sounds like something we've been dealing with. Be prepared when we do have to deal with it. Or, whew, we got past that one, we don't have that problem. So, I mean, those are the things that came out, you know, whether it's going to be there or not be there. And then the succession was probably the biggest one, to make sure we did it correctly. And I think we did a pretty good job of succeeding from bud to the next generation.
And that transition is tricky in a family-held business. You've got all the complications of a regular business does in establishing a new chief executive officer. But in addition, you have the family pressures.
I think it's been done successfully. I think partially because Curt and Jim and the family, the board, had worked with, and this is where the Family Forum, I think, deserves some real kudos, on thinking about the question of what if.
Well, Jim died unexpectedly in a car accident in October of 2012. And things that came out of that were the sun will come up in the morning, and we're going to be here. It was challenging the next morning when I came to work. One of our board members, we let them know, and he was able to make it for me to make the announcement here to the company. And we announced it, and there were some people that were impressed and comforted that we had a board member here, and we told them that we were going to continue on, that you know, Jim wouldn't want us to do anything different. We weren't going to pull up our tents and run away. I spent most of the day here, and I had people on our strategic team ask me, why are you here today? You shouldn't be here. And I said, no, this is exactly where I should be. One, because that's what I need to do. And two, because my wife, Nancy, Jim's sister, said, you need to be there. For all the rest of the people. And I had a good meeting with our strategic team and explained to them, same thing as I explained to all the other employees, that we were going to keep going, that they had a job to do to keep me focused and to keep me in line so I don't screw things up until we can put together a team. Jim and I, as the dual-headed monster, were the executive team. So all of a sudden we lost half of our executive team. And I said, you know, I know I need to put together a team. Fortunately or unfortunately, it took me about 1.5 years to do that. But we put one together in June of 14, and have a good team, and you know, we work well together, and we all step up. We all have a focus of what we want to do as a company, and how we want to get there, and how we want to work on our culture. So it's been a needed transition because of the changes. that were unplanned and we weren't ready for. We weren't ready for from the standpoint, you're never ready for that. We were ready from the standpoint that we had actually had conversations in our board meetings.
One of the seminars the forum has run is practice dying until you get it right. And tragically, that became a very valuable set of experiences, a set of learnings that we had had. And we had thought through, and we'd had conversations around, well, now what would we do if, and how would we manage? So those proved beneficial. There were plenty of things we had missed and we hadn't thought about, but at least we had fleshed out some of the broad brush.
Jim used to use the example. We both live within a mile of each other, and he always joked that we were going to have a head-on collision with our ride-em lawnmowers. And if Curt and Jim crunch their lawnmowers together and they don't come to work, what happens? And the 3 board members each knew what their assignment was, who would come in here, who they would meet with, and how we would transition. Well, fortunately, it wasn't that tragic, but they were here to support us. They were here to meet with our people. The people knew we had somebody, and that we'd had these discussions. It wasn't like we were living in a vacuum, that some of these things are never going to happen. So it was important that they were here, and that our folks saw that we did actually have a plan. We had actually talked about it.
And it's exciting, the new building, it's exciting the growth that the business has had. So from a business perspective, some very exciting times. Probably more exciting is that just as when I was first involved with sort of the tail end of a transition from Bud to Curt and Jim, we're now working on transition to the next generation.
The forum challenged us to get a family council together to get some regulations. Our rules are the kids need 3 to 5 years of outside work experience before they can come back to Marion. That would be difficult had we waited until one was going to graduate from college and put that rule into effect or that sort of thing. So I think that has really been helpful. So I think, don't wait on making some of these plans for a family business.
Peer group was a value, having some of the sessions that we had, and some of them would tend to repeat every year or so, and that was really good because you'd hear something one time and you'd kind of get back and you'd get into the fray of running your business, and you'd forget about something you heard or you didn't act on it, and when it came back a year and a half later, and you'd go back and go, oh yeah, I heard that before. I should have followed up with that. I didn't. Now maybe you're able to follow up and use it, or you heard something and it got stuck in the back of your mind somewhere, and all of a sudden you go, I remember someone talked about doing that. So it's usually helpful.
It's a family forum, business forum, but it is a family because these are people who you have things in common with that not many other people can relate to. And so that instinctively brings you together. And I think very valuable friendships, very close friendships have been established through the forum.
It's been great for me because I've seen I think I would hope to say myself grow. I've seen other contemporaries also grow in their businesses and their families. And to be able to look back and remember, like, wow, we were there 15 years ago. We thought we knew everything, and be able to come back and go, how much more have I learned in the last 15 years? A lot. And I learned it from listening to other people talk and understanding that, hey, there's another way to do this. There's a good way to do this. There's a not so good way to do this. And, can you learn from all those? Absolutely.